Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. In the headlines, government hopeful the country will be taken off the OECD's negative list based on its compliance with international standards. After 50 years without one, the people of Salisbury to meet with local government to discuss the establishment of a village council, and a series of activities to raise awareness on the importance of registering intellectual property about to get underway. The details of the news coming up.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow. First up in the news, government is hopeful that the international community will recognize its efforts to comply with the requirements of the OECD Convention on Tax Matters and remove the country from the negative list. The government of Dominica took a significant step this week to give legal effect to the OECD Convention, which it signed on the 25th of April 2019. The Common Reporting Standards Act 2019 was passed in Parliament on Monday. The legislation makes provision for Dominica to meet its obligations under the Convention on Mutual Administrative Assistance in Tax Matters and other related matters.
It is that the member states of the Council of Europe and the member countries of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, have considered that the development of international movements of persons, capital, goods, and services has increased the possibilities of tax avoidance and evasion, and therefore requires increased cooperation among tax authorities. According to the OECD Secretariat, the Convention facilitates international cooperation for a better operation of national tax laws while respecting the fundamental rights of taxpayers. The Convention provides for all possible forms of administrative cooperation between states in the assessment and collection of taxes, in particular with a view to combating tax avoidance and evasion. This cooperation ranges from exchange of information, including automatic exchanges, to the recovery of foreign tax claims. Madam Speaker, participating countries and financial institutions operating within participating countries are therefore required to provide information on clients and taxpayers when requested by another participating country.
The Attorney General says while Dominica complies with the requirements, he is concerned that the OECD keeps changing the goalpost.
Madam Speaker, the government understands the implications of not being in compliance with the standards set by the international community. We are, however, concerned that these standards change too frequently. There is a significant cost associated with compliance. We are also concerned that even when groups of countries, such as the OECD and the EU, indicate that they will take a unified position on matters such as taxation, individual countries belonging to these organizations still take unilateral action against third countries, such as our own in some instances. This government is also of the view that the countries of the region should be more unified in their response on these matters. Notwithstanding, Madam Speaker, these concerns, I reiterate the government's commitment to keeping the undertaking that it has given.
Meantime, Prime Minister Skerrit says government has a well-documented history of cooperation with the international community on anti-terrorism, anti-money laundering legislation and security matters. But the Prime Minister is concerned that legislative demands can be overwhelming for small countries, coupled with the uncertainty which results from the constantly changing goalpost as far as their demands are concerned. The Prime Minister addressed the issue in Parliament this week, where legislation was passed on offshore banking and common reporting standards in tax matters.
When you go back to the handset of this Parliament, you will see a plethora of amendments and new legislation which this government has brought into this Parliament, many of which are on its own volition and some based on its commitment to international regional communities. And what we have been saying to the international community, and this is across the CARICOM, is that the goalposts keep shifting too frequently. Let us do a comprehensive assessment of what is required, and let us come up with a comprehensive list of recommendations on how we as a global community can treat with these things. As it is now, that they also have too many entities dealing with the same issues. And even within those entities, Madam Speaker, there are countries which go on their own, to demand certain things and to impose certain things. And with small jurisdictions like ours in the CARICOM, with units in the Attorney General's office and the Ministry of Finance and others who have to deal with this, you always have very few people. Most Aegis chambers in the OECS, for example, if you have 2 parliamentary draftsmen in the public service, you have many. And parliamentary draftsmen would have to go through all of these requirements and to prepare it and to ensure it can come to the Parliament, one, in accordance with what is required, and secondly, in accordance with the Constitution of our country. And sometimes the time that they give you to make these changes, not even the developed world can make those changes in the time frame which they allow it to happen.
The OECD placed Dominica on a negative list this year, even while government awaited correspondence from the organization having met the requirements.
In Dominica's case, for example, the entire world, including the European Union and the OECD, recognized that they made an error in placing Dominica on the so-called blacklist or the negative list for having done everything that was required of it. We passed all of the legislation, we did all of the amendments to the law, we put the institutional framework in place, and the only thing which they cited why they placed us on this negative list or the so-called blacklist was a decision which was required by them. That is, to allow Dominica to be a signatory to the convention. They had not responded to us in the affirmative, notwithstanding dozens of emails and numerous correspondences from the government to them and also from our ambassador in Brussels. They did not respond. And I can tell you, Madam Speaker, that we did not take this lying down. We wrote very strongly and sternly to the authorities in Europe, and every opportunity I had to engage a European government, a representative of the European government, I told them precisely how the people of Dominica felt. And I believe, in large measure, it is because of those interventions by the government where it went on an offensive in this matter, and we support the CARICOM and the OECS, and many of our prime minister, colleague prime ministers within CARICOM and the OECS, who really stood with us. And I single out in that case the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, for example. You know, they eventually and quickly responded to us and say, well, we have taken a decision for you to accede to the convention, and please come and sign it and so forth. And therefore it was signed on April 25th.
Mr. Skerritt says Dominica was ready to sign the convention last year. He says government had the required legislation ready, but could not go to Parliament without an agreement on the terms and conditions of that agreement. And Dominica has recently been better able to strategically plan development projects around the country. This as data from the Light Detecting and Ranging Lidar project continues to come in. The Lidar project gathers data which will provide support for flood risk management, infrastructure and construction management, natural resource conservation and water supply management. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of the Environment, Corinne Prevost, says while the project has met some challenges, the data collected to date has been very useful.
The Lidar topographic and bathymetric survey, from which derive products such as potential flood zones, hazard maps, watershed boundaries, shorelines, water bodies, habitat maps, among others. And we have been a bit challenged with the Lidar survey due to quite a bit of cloud cover over the last few months. However, quite a bit of work has already been done, and the information that has already been generated is with the planning department, and I believe that they are already benefiting from having that information.
Prevost was speaking at the opening meeting of the Caribbean Regional Track Investment Plan of the Pilot Program for Climate Resilience, PPCR. She says another way in which Dominica has benefited from this project is through the categorization of the country's soil types.
We are also undertaking or have completed a national soil survey and mapping exercise, which will provide data on classification of soil types and their localities. This is also a very critical initiative, both for the Ministry of Agriculture and other relevant departments.
Dominica is among 6 Caribbean countries participating in the 5-year-long PPCR project, which ends next year. You are watching Channel 5 News. We'll have more after this.
Craft is a certain art that creates expression, and one of the things that we do as craft persons, we transfer that expression of self, that expression of value into our products. It's like coming from within, coming from everything that I have and feel, and then it comes out perfect. It's been over 18 years since I've been involved in craft. And it's all through experimenting with different materials, different products. I use a lot of vegetable tanned leather, which is the rawhide, to do my craft. And I get the opportunity to decorate it and to bring out my creation and my spirit within the craft. The work is generally handmade, and that is the unique and authentic thing about craft, is that there's your fingerprint, and a lot of people appreciate the fingerprint of the artist. One of the greatest joys is actually seeing a satisfied customer, especially for a unique piece, and they're like, yes, that is for me, and that is mine. That is really a joy. I am proud to be part and parcel of this big engine that fuels the island and the tourism industry. My name is Vanessa Lisa Winston, and I am happy that tourism is my business.
When persons with TB sneeze or cough, healthy persons nearby breathe in the droplets and the bacteria can lodge in their lungs. People with weakened immune systems such as HIV/AIDS, alcohol and drug users, smokers, children, and the elderly are most susceptible. Persons with a cough should take precautions when in contact with persons in public places. Cover your mouth when sneezing and coughing. Visit your doctor or health center. You must complete your treatment. TB can be cured even with HIV. Be responsible. Help stop the spread of TB and HIV. Protect yourself and others.
Thank you for staying with us. The Companies and Intellectual Property Office to embark on a series of activities to raise awareness on the importance of registering intellectual property. Here is Andrea Louis with a report.
The sensitization drive will be undertaken with support from the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS. Intellectual property, or IP, is referred to as creations of the mind such as inventions, literary and artistic works, designs, symbols, names, and images used in commerce. Acting Registrar of the Companies and IP Office, Atlin Nesty, says Dominicans have a fair idea of what IP is, but greater sensitization is needed to realize the full benefit of registering intellectual property.
I'm saying there is awareness as to the scale, as to saying that, okay, there's a lot of awareness. I would not say so. But I guess like our office is now in collaboration with the OECS as well. And we intend to further create more awareness for people so that that branding can be protected and also help in our trade circles, and protect the rights and recognition for individuals here. So this is one step towards educating the public, and there will be many more thereafter to ensure that we take our trade and our industry and our ideas further in Dominica.
Nestle is urging Dominican inventors to register their intellectual property as it will be beneficial to them and to the local economy.
I mean, it's important to register your brand because it helps with your reputation of your brand and recognition. Look at how people take you seriously when you say, listen, my brand is trademark, and you go through as a contract or something, and you present all this criteria and this property rights that you have established. And not only so, that you can now place that mark and seal on your product, and it goes further, and you can have that identity and protection. So in the in the trade circles, it's very important. It places you than just the ordinary man with a stamp. What is that? Is it somebody else's? You understand? It gives you that owner identity and helps further building your reputation and what you produce.
And the move to create a village council in Salisbury after an over 50-year absence goes into high gear on Friday. Andrea Louis has more.
A delegation from the local government department will host a public meeting in the community on Friday to sensitize the residents on the pros and cons of establishing a village council. Friday's visit to Salisbury forms part of activities for Local Government Month, which got underway on Wednesday, 1st May. Recently appointed Local Government Commissioner Glenroy Toussaint says the visit to Salisbury will be twofold.
On Friday the 3rd, we're going to Salisbury. Of course, there is initiative in Salisbury where they're pretty much advanced in terms of the establishment of a village council in Salisbury. There is a village council steering committee that's been established. And basically what we're going to do is to support this effort in the community of Salisbury, where the steering committee has been going through a series of community education and mobilization. We've been partnering with them in that regard, providing the residents as to the pros and cons for village council. Now we're going to consolidate with them. We are going to be supportive of them.
Massac, Bells and Warner are among the few communities which do not have a village council. Toussaint says a village council must be a demand of the people and cannot be forced upon them by authorities.
One of the key things that we're going to do is really to administer what we call a perception survey. We really need to know how much information that residents have as far as the council is concerned. And so we'll get from them, because essentially this is an avenue to get information from them, to share as well with them, but it's to get from them and to really judge whether in truth and in fact that they're ready. Because to establish a village council or any local authority, it has to come from the people. They have to accept the fact that they're ready for it. We don't force anything on anybody. We don't force any local government body on any community, any village or any municipality. It has to come from the people. It's people-focused development we're talking about. Because if the people are not into it, it's not going to succeed.
The local government commissioner pointed out that the process of creating a village council in any community can range from a few months to a couple of years.
The process is, you have the perception survey, you get it ready, you have to identify the boundary. There has to be a boundary, right? And it would take the Lands and Service Division to demarcate that boundary. That boundary has to be gazetted before we even go into the thing. So once that's gazetted by the Honorable Minister responsibility for local government, then we take the process forward in terms of the nomination day and election and that sort of thing. So it depends on the readiness of the community. It can take quite a bit of time, and of course it can take not so much time. So it depends. But certainly if you have to give a gap, what we've noticed, for example, in true essence, from the highs and the lows, it can take between 8 months to maybe 2 years.
According to Toussaint, Salisbury did have a village council in the 1960s. However, that council was dissolved and never reinstated. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
The Junior Achievement Dominica and Scotiabank Innovation Camp 2019 prize-giving ceremony was held at the Dominica State College on Thursday. Winners of this year's Innovation Challenge received checks and certificates. They are Kia Lawrence, Shania Edwards, Keja Charles, and Cody Jean-Jacques. Director of Student Activities at the State College, Trudy Christian, says the winning team has certainly made the State College proud. She says the work of Junior Achievement Dominica improves student overall development while adding to their resume.
At the Dominica State College, we like to encourage students to take part in activities and events that will contribute towards their holistic development. And when Ms. Alexander called me and informed me about the Innovation Challenge that Junior Achievement was facilitating in collaboration with Scotiabank, I was very pleased to be invited for our students to participate, or to be allowed to get our students to participate. She told me that before I had taken up the position as Director of Student Activities, that the Dominica State College had been victorious in this challenge, and so that we had a reputation to uphold, and so we should definitely participate and try to retain that championship, which thankfully we did. So I am, in my capacity, very proud that these students were able to do so and take part in the competition successfully. And I'm also proud that the Dominica State College continues to be able to encourage students in those sort of endeavors, despite some of the hardships that we have to endure, particularly post-Hurricane Maria.
Scotiabank and Junior Achievers Americas collaborated to develop the program Economics for Success. That's an interactive online program targeting youth between 14 and 20 years old. The idea is to have students correctly manage their finances and foster clarity on professional goals, interests, and values for a successful future. The Innovation Camp falls under that program.
On April 11th, 2019, Junior Achievement Dominica and Scotiabank hosted our local Innovation Camp 2019. On that day, we had 4 schools represented: the Dominica Grammar School, Dominica State College, Isaiah Thomas Secondary School, and the Convent High School, who were all vying to be our next Junior Achievement Dominica and Scotiabank Innovation Camp winner for 2019. And it was at that Innovation Camp that our Dominica State College students emerged winners. The DSC team comprised of Mr. Cody Jean-Jacques, Kia Lawrence, Keja Charles, and Shania Edwards. They won with their presentation centered around the need to develop a swift online-based platform. The SWIFT stood for Snapchat, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. This was a platform enabled to promote and deliver improved financial literacy programs to students. Now, the students of our Dominica State College, our winning team, will have to represent Dominica at the online-based Regional Innovation Camp in May 2019. Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow. To end the news, a look again at the headlines. Government hopeful the country will be taken off the OECD's negative list based on its compliance with international standards. After 50 years without one, the people of Salisbury to meet local government to discuss the establishment of a village council, and a series of activities to raise awareness on the importance of registering intellectual property about to get underway. Feel free to contact us at news@mapping2k4.com. You may access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.